If you're a dividend investor and would love to live off of your dividend income for the rest of your life at some point, then this video is for you, okay? I'm going to show you a really interesting and incredible strategy that you can actually combine with dividend stocks along with options in such a way that you can really accelerate how much income you can make on a monthly or quarterly basis, and possibly cut the time in half for when you can fully be able to live off of just your dividend income, okay? So to start off, if you're a dividend investor, obviously your primary goals are first of all income. Most people invest in dividend stocks for the dividend income, so that at some point with a 4 or 5% yielding dividend portfolio, they could make at least 50-60K a year and be able to live off of it. So that's usually the number one reason. The number two reason people want dividend stocks is for the stability. Only profitable companies provide a dividend, and so if you don't like volatility in your portfolio, if you want if you want stability in your stocks where you don't want to deal with 7-10% crashes, then dividend stocks are very stable. Even during market crashes, dividend stocks tends to be the ones that tend to hold up well. They don't have 10-20% crashes like a lot of high growth stock tends to have. So stability is number two, income, and obviously these tends to be companies that have been around for so long that the chances of them going bankrupt is very unlikely, okay? So knowing that that's your primary reasons for getting into dividend income, a lot of times you would notice that if your entire portfolio is offering you, say, 4% dividend, and you want to live off of $40,000 a year, as an example, you will need at least $1 million investment at a 4% yield to be able to make $40,000 in dividend income per year, okay? But as we grow older, obviously $40,000 a year is not necessarily enough for you to live off of it completely. So let's say your job pays you 70 or 80K a year and your lifestyle kind of revolves around that, then you may need 80K a year at least in dividend income to be able to fully live off of that, okay? So at a 4% dividend yield, you would need at least $2 million invested over the course of your life to be able to make about 80K a year at a 4% yield, okay? So here's my strategy on how I plan to do this. This is going to be a new portfolio that I'm going to start and actually grow it over time, and also show it to a lot of my subscribers and members on Discord as well how to do it. I haven't officially announced it yet, but I started just doing some math here just to demonstrate how this works for you guys, okay? So here I have a couple of sample dividend stocks here. You can choose your own company, for example. This spreadsheet, I could share it with you guys if you'd like, but basically this spreadsheet, what you're doing is you're selecting all the well-paid dividend stocks that are fairly stable. The key here is that they're not very volatile. They tend to hold their value dividend during crashes, during volatility, and any of that, and they have a pretty good dividend yield, okay? And you can also choose whether you want to invest in companies like Altria, for example, ticker symbol MO. If you don't want to invest in Altria, you can obviously replace it with any other dividend stock, like a dividend aristocrats ETF like Noble, NOBL. So you can replace whatever you want with it. But just to show you a demonstration here, let's say you have these 7 companies: at&t, Altria, SPHD, which is SPDR's high dividend, low volatility portfolio, ETF rather. KO is Coca-Cola, Walgreens, Bristol Myers Squibb, and we have NextEra Energy. So let's say you have 7 of these stocks. For the strategy that I'm going to show you, you would need at least 100 shares, okay? Now the strategy that I want to show you is how you can combine dividends by selling covered calls on these stocks, okay? So if you have at least 100 shares of a stock, then you can actually sell monthly covered calls against those stocks to make an additional monthly income, okay? So to show you as an example here, I have at&t currently trading at $29.59. I could potentially sell this $31 call for April 16th against 100 shares of at&t and collect a credit of $32, okay? And obviously, if you're into options, $30 on a month is really nothing. Most of us who trade options are looking for 50, 100, 200% moves, but this is for dividend portfolios. This is for people who don't want to risk too much, who want less volatility. So that's why I'm showing this to you guys. So let's say at&t, you sold a $31 call for April 16th, you can collect a credit of approximately $32, okay? Now this is going to vary obviously depending on the price action of the stock. This could be 32 in some months, it could be 40 during some months, it could be 20 during some months. It's going to keep varying, of course, during the price depending on the price action of the stock itself. But just as an example, I took current values of the options to just do the math here. So I chose the $31 price here because that's about a 5% move on the current price. And if you know at&t, they are not very big movers. they've been in that low $20 or $30 range for months and months, maybe even years actually. So that's why I chose a 5% monthly move, which is fairly unlikely for a stock like AT&T. So that's what I did here. Okay, so at the current price, they're currently paying a quarterly dividend of 52 cents, or over 100 shares, that would be $52 per quarter. And now the $32 comes by selling one covered call against AT&T. Okay, so you're looking at a monthly income of $32 and a quarterly payout of 52. I followed the similar process for Altria, currently trading at $45, quarterly dividend of 86 cents. So for 100 shares, you can get a quarterly payout of 86. And similar strategy as AT&T, if I sold a monthly covered call that's about 5 to 10% above the current price, you could get a credit of $41. Okay, now the key for the covered call is I typically shoot for that 5 to 10% sweet spot, because again, dividend stocks are not very volatile and they don't necessarily move 5 to 10% in a single month. Okay, and that's exactly why I chose a strike price that's at least 5 to 10% above. So for all of these stocks, I chose 5 or 10% higher strike price to come up with all these quarterly, all these monthly incomes. All these monthly incomes are basically by selling a covered call against each of them. And for a total investment of $34,488, you could have 100 shares of each of these stocks. Okay, now depending on this initial cost, you can switch it around, for example, but I wanted a minimum of at least 100 just to do the math and see what would happen. Now here's where I think you would be thoroughly impressed by how this actually works out. So if I just add up the monthly credit from the covered calls, you could make $332 a month just by investing $34,000 in 7 of these stocks. The quarterly payout by adding all these up is another $374. Now the annual income is a combination of $332 per month for 12 months and $374 for every quarter, so 4 times that, which is an annual income of $5,481, which on an investment of $34,488 is almost a 16% yield. Okay, you're not doing anything extra. You're not going into speculative high-paying dividend stocks that tend to keep going down in value. These are solid companies that actually can grow over time, even in share price, and you're able to get out with about a 15.9% annual yield. Okay, that's what I'm really excited about. Now obviously you can move around the prices a little bit here. You can see the initial cost obviously is not similar. So to get 100 shares, your highest position is going to be NextEra Energy. But if you want, you could put in more money in AT&T over time. You could always reinvest this income, by the way. So for example, if you sold all this covered calls on these stocks and got a credit of $332, you could go and buy 10 more shares of AT&T with that price. Okay, and once you get this one on quarterly days, you're making almost $700 for that month in quarterly payouts. So in those $700, you could buy 10 shares of AT&T, you could buy a couple more shares of Altria, KO, Walgreens, whatever you want it to be, and you can move this around. But here's where it gets really exciting. You remember I told you about how you need $2 million to make about $80K in annual income. Now let's play around with these shares a little bit over time to see how much you would really need to be invested to make that same $80K a year. Okay, so I'm going to move this around a little bit. Say over time, over the next 10, 15, 20 years, you were able to get up to 500 shares of AT&T, let's say 500 in Altria as well, 500 here as well, and NextEra. Since it's more expensive, let's stick only 300 shares in there. Bristol-Myers could be also 300. Walgreens, let's put in 500 shares and 500 shares of Coca-Cola as well. Now you're already looking at a 23K annual income on just an investment of 146K. Okay, you just need 4 times this and you're at 90K a year almost. Okay, so let's do that math real quick. Let's say 1,500 shares of AT&T, 1,500 in Altria, about 1,000 in this one, 1,500 in this one, 1,500 here, and Bristol-Myers, let's say 1,200 and 900 here. Look at that. You're already making 70K a year on an investment of only 436K just in these 7 stocks. Okay, now obviously over time, if you have almost $500,000, you don't want it to be in just 7 stocks. Maybe you start adding a few more things here to get up to 10, 15 stocks. But just with the little distribution of this and just keep selling monthly covered calls, you're already making a 16% yield that's paying you $70,000. Okay, this is only $436,000 a year. Previously, you needed $2 million on a 4% yield to be able to make $80,000 a year. But here, only a fourth of that, and you're already at 70K. Okay, now we could play around a little more if you just want to have fun with it and kind of understand how this may end up working out for you. Let's see. So you're very bullish on Walgreens, for example, with the whole COVID vaccines, an extra 1,200. So you're already at 88K. You're getting very, very close to six figures with only 544,000 investment. Now let's really see what you'll get at for $1 million. Okay. So you're close to 887,000. You're already in 144K a year, which is like some of the highest paying jobs. Okay, guys, that's what I love playing around with this calculator that I've come up with here. It's it's very, very simple to use it, and you're just estimating how much money you really need invested to make a solid income. So we're getting very, very close to $1 million here. There's go. That's just about $1 million, and from $1 million you can make 160K a year in just dividend income once you have this much invested in dividend stocks. Okay, so I think this is really, really exciting. I'm actually planning to do this myself. Obviously, this is going to take a lot of time, but what really excites me is at some point you can completely at half the value of this. You could potentially live off of 80K a year, or even 100K a year, where you only need $500,000 invested instead of 2 to 3 million to be able to get to that six-figure a year in income from the stock market. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you find this helpful. Please do smash that like button if you enjoy it. Please leave a comment below to share your thoughts with me, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. Okay, thanks again for watching, and until next time.